Well, welcome. We're here on an Oxfordshire farm today, and I'm particularly glad to be here because 3 years ago we came with a colleague of mine and dug a hole, and we took a small video of it. And we tend to show it to people how soils can be so difficult and dreadful. And that particular year it was oilseed rape. The oilseed rape was only about this tall. It was full of mealy aphid, which is a sign really that the rape was poor rooting, poor energy, and it was attracting aphids in. And Vince, my colleague who was trying to dig a hole, had a real job getting the spade in, pulling it up. It was full of black grass, even though we'd spent all this time and effort on all the chemicals possible. And it was that year that this farm decided to purchase into a direct drill system using a 6-metre cross slot, and also they purchased a strip cat. So this is 3 years on. The farm has changed dramatically, and as you can see here we have winter beans. The principles and the difficulties of this particular heavy land farm were it waterlogs, and of course in years gone past with the issues of winter cropping and the reliance on chemicals, blackgrass has become a huge issue. So if you go back to the little video 3 years ago, you'll see an absolute covering of blackgrass in the base at the end of May. So the nice thing to show people is that even on heavy soils that we can move forward, and this is a very short period of time. The farm has gone through obviously quite a bit of pain because the last 3 years have been difficult autumns and winters, but they concentrated on perhaps the biggest limitations within this farm and this area here, which is the fact that it's waterlogged. So we spent an awful lot of time around the outside opening up ditches which were all blocked. This farm has been mould drained. We haven't spent much effort really on cover crops on this farm because the money has gone into other areas. So they've used literally what's been around. So we've had linseed, some beans, a little bit of spring oats, and of course the blackgrass that's grown here. And the principles on top of all this really is that flexibility is really important, and so if the conditions are not right, the farm hasn't drilled. And so we're finding on many farms going forward that have been in these direct drill cover crop systems now for 8 to 10 years, is the farmer becomes very flexible within his cropping and approach to rotations. And if it's not right and it's too difficult, they just won't drill, and we will consider a different crop going into the following year. This particular crop of beans was drilled at the end of October, and you can see just at a tweak in the moment between wet conditions, they managed to get them in. It's had propyzamide on, and if you look down the rows you can see actually that they're completely clean. And if I look around here, walking from the car over here, we found one blackgrass. So these are really important points when we convert into a direct drill system or changing our system towards managing biology, is that we actually consider the limitations and we manage those limitations first rather than looking for managing with products. And what's happened over the last 3 years is that rather the negative parts of the farm becoming control, we're now finding that the positive parts are coming control, and the farmer now is in charge of a system moving forwards rather than one that was going backwards. So what I wanted to do today was just to dig the hole in the same way that Vince did 3 years ago, so you can see what the change is. If we compare the two videos going back for 3 years, you can instantly see when you heave the spade up here is that the soil is coming up much easier and breaking. And we have actually beginnings of a crumb structure. The aerobic area around this part is much more open. And as we move the clods around, you can begin to see the large earthworm holes coming through here, beginning a crumb structure. This will allow us to have fine rooting. I mean, these are not perfect situations, but if you can compare back 3 years, this is a huge difference. And bearing in mind the amount of rain we've had this winter, this is phenomenal change within the structure of this soil. The one thing that I was worried about when we first started is really that air is the very first thing that we need to manage, and such a lot of time and effort has been placed into getting rid of water here in terms of drainage and moulding. I did feel that we should probably have lightly lifted this to aerate, but you can see actually as time's gone on that this is repairing in its own way. And look how the crumb structure and this blocking is now breaking open. So where before we had no roots moving into the soils because they couldn't penetrate, these are actually now breaking up really nicely. And fine root structure are what we call feeder roots. So we're going to get better connection with biology in the soil, and nutrition will be moving up into the plant. It's incredible the difference we've had in such a short period on quite heavy soils. So one of the benefits we've been able to do this last year to help these soils move further forward is straw is actually going off the farm, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it's going to a beef unit, and muck's actually coming back onto the farm. So in effect we're selling something off but bringing something back more. And once you've sorted the excess water and allowed air to pull in, we need to feed that with carbon and organic materials so that biology can actually carry on beginning to repair this soil structure. This is a fantastic move forward over a really short period of time on very difficult soils. And so it's I hope that when you look at the two videos and see the change, you can see the potential for farming to move forward and reduce the costs over a longer period of time. The key points on this particular farm is about really looking for your limitations, creating a plan and being flexible so that we don't force any system backwards. We're always looking to move forwards and being open-minded. Thank you.